231. That's the average number of apps used by many companies. This leads to a lot of context switching that can distract employees and costs your company. Luckily, Grammarly can help. Grammarly's AI works in over 500,000 apps and websites, making it easy for your team to crank out clear, on-brand emails, documents, messages, and more. In just one click, they can go from blank page to first draft, all without leaving the page they're on. Grammarly has 15 years of experience building effective, secure AI that can be implemented in days with minimal IT overhead. It goes beyond basic grammar to help tailor writing to specific audiences, whether that means adding an executive summary, fine-tuning tone, or cutting out jargon. Join 70,000 teams who save an average of $5,000 per employee per year using Grammarly. Go to grammarly.com/enterprise to learn more. Grammarly, enterprise-ready AI.
An O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card is the perfect gift for that hard-to-buy-for person. Give the gift of convenience from O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, hey, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to the Season of Self-Love, your daily dose of inspiration and growth. I am your host, Nyomi Banks. And family, we have arrived to our final week of Elevate Your Life, Unlock Your Potential, and what a journey it has truly been. We've explored mindset mastery. We discovered on how purpose fuels our growth, and now we're focusing on something very crucial, and that's making elevation your natural state of being. Not just rising higher, but staying higher and making it feel as natural as breathing, right? But first, let's take a quick break. And then we come back, we're going to get deeper into it, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by. Me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to xnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you. All right, well, welcome back to this Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks. And again, this is our last week of our Elevate You Self-Discovery here on the Season of Self-Love. But let's center ourselves with our daily meditation before we get into our topic, all right? So I want you to find you a nice, comfortable space and take a deep breath in to help center yourselves, all right? Now I want you to feel the growth that you've experienced. The shifts that you made. The elevations that you have achieved. Breathe into this new version of you, this elevated state, this natural expression of your potential. Feel how far that you've come, yet know that there's further to go. Always rising and always growing. Now I want you to take one more final deep breath in, bringing this awareness with you as we begin our exploration. right, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something that we do every day, Monday through Friday, just to help center ourselves before we get into the topic at hand. All right, family, let me share something personal with you all. You know, when I first started studying Bob Proctor's work on the paradigm shifts, and, you know, something powerful struck me. You know, he talks about how often we try to force change. You know, when really elevation should be, it should feel as natural as growing taller when you are a child, right? You know, when you think about it, think about that as a child. A child doesn't strain to grow taller, right? They don't wake up every morning trying to add an inch. They simply just live. They nourish themselves and they rest when needed, and growth happens naturally. That's what sustainable elevation looks like. You know, as I laugh at this, I think about in the beginning of this journey, I'm talking about my complete self-love journey on how hard I was on myself. Even in the beginning of me shifting and changing my paradigm, how hard I was on myself. And I remember speaking with my accountability partner, is my beautiful sister, not only my blood sister, my birth sister, but also my soul sister. I was blessed in so many ways to have her in my life. But I remember letting her know about Miss Perry. And if you guys were listening to last week's episode on Friday, Miss Perry shows up for me in ways that I know that probably if you all have listened to Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life, that your old version, your old paradigm has showed up in your life if you have been actively changing and shifting your paradigm. Well, for me, and I, expressed to her, is that we have to show grace for ourselves, to ourselves, and we have to have compassion for ourselves and understand that for me, it's been 52 years. And I have to understand that I have to take everything moment by moment. And even though I want things to happen and change right now, I have to understand that I have to live it day by day, that I have to do actionable changes every moment. My mind is always thinking of something new, and I have to nourish those thoughts, whether they're good or bad. And I know it's like, you have to nourish those bad thoughts too. Yes, nourish them and move them away, meaning that I have to acknowledge them. Once I can acknowledge them, I remove them. Does that make sense? Because now I'm aware of those. I'm aware of those and how they trigger me. Now I have the tools on how to remove them. I have the tools on how to place them in certain different ways, or how to help to remove them out or regulate them in my life. Does that make sense? I mean, even with last week, with some of the guests that we had, especially with Martine and even with Susan, it's, the different ways that we can, with some of our thought patterns that we have, or some of the things that trigger us, on how we can help to regulate them, to help to remove them actionably out of our lives, to where it can truly help us to remove that old paradigm and shift to the new paradigm. And so for me, it's understanding that I need these things. I need to live. I need to nourish myself. I need to rest when needed. And I need to allow this paradigm to happen and shift naturally and not force it. Because remember what he says is that it's supposed to happen naturally. It's not supposed to be forced. It's not supposed to be forced. But also what I learned through this journey is that true elevation isn't about constant pushing and striving. It's about creating practices and patterns that naturally lift us higher. So let me share 3 keys to making elevation your natural state. Daily rituals arising, creating a space for growth each day. creating that space. And I told you in this past month, that I've been creating new spaces for myself, new growth spaces for myself in my home. Because as I was telling my baby, I said, did you know, when I envision my life, when I wake up in the morning, I want to see that life, whether it's a picture on the wall or it's just a visual thing right there that's in my bedroom, that's in my bathroom. I want to see it. I want to see the peace there. And finding joy in the process, meaning that while I'm creating this, I'm finding joy in the process of creating it. While I'm creating my kitchen, I close my eyes and I see my gold accents, with the black cabinets and the marble countertops that I created on my own. DIY projects. Very low cost. Making something out of nothing. And making my elevation feel like coming home. Making elevation feel like coming home. Remember early on this year when I was talking about with my visualization that I was smelling when I came into my Elevate Me Self-Discovery Wellness Center. Remember the wellness center that I talked about? Well, on my walls, I have a picture of each one of my wellness centers and what they look like. But also, I have created these smells inside of my home that when you walk through my house now, is that you smell that amber and that lavender smell. Because this is what my home smells like. So I'm living it now, and I'm understanding it. So these are my daily rituals of my rising first thing in the morning. Even in my golden rose room, as I'm walking to my golden rose room, in my hallway, that is what you see. Now let's talk about sustainable practices, choosing actions that you can maintain. So I go into my morning room, right there, my golden rose room. I turn on my music. I light my altar, my Christ altar, and I do my breathing and my meditation. I do some stretching. I'm able to do that every day. Oh, I forgot, I fixed my bed. And then from there, I build momentum through consistency. So I'm able to do that every day. And how I started that off, and I'm so happy that I was able to go to that retreat to help me with my breathing, to help me to control certain things in my body. And by me challenging myself for those 21 days, I've been able to do it. And then finding what feels natural to me. So it's actually finding what feels natural to you and not pushing it, not forcing it. And if that doesn't work, find something else that does, that feels natural, that's not forcing it. Because remember, this is you being your authentic self, no longer with the mask on. Remember, we mask off. And let's talk about integration of growth. This is number 3. Weaving elevation in your daily life. Using everything from every guest that talked about, even some of them, not all of them. So the mapping, remember the mapping that we heard from John Diggs? How about making growth a lifestyle and not a destination? I love that. Remember what Bob Proctor said about growth not being a destination. or better yet, goals not being a destination, but being growth. I love that, making growth a lifestyle and not a destination. And let's talk about creating balance between pushing and flowing. Yes. Right now, we are building a momentum to start to bring in a new year about rebirth. In this year, it was all about dominating in every aspect of our lives. And now we're setting ourselves up for success. So we're elevating ourselves right now in this month. But we're doing to where it's sustainable, where it's natural, and we're not forcing it. Does that make sense? So now let's talk about the art of natural elevation. You know, watching my mother navigate her journey with dementia had taught me something profound about sustainable elevation.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's shown me that every moment is an opportunity to rise, and not through force, but through presence and acceptance. When I talk about truly looking at that diagnosis from a different perspective, I have to look at it as a gift for me, because I'm on the outside looking at it, living with it, while she's on the inside living with it. And so that gift is possibly something for me to share or help someone else through with. I don't know what it's going to come with down the line, but I feel something coming with for it, for someone else. But what it's taught me is, it's taught me patience. But it's also taught me to appreciate this moment, in the present moment. That I can no longer keep looking in the future, in the future, or even keep thinking about the past. But I have to appreciate and accept what's today. And that's what I love about Bob Proctor, and what he talks about is that you have to live it now. Live it like it's happening right now. Live your success now. So if you live in that energy and you're feeling that energy, that vibration, that frequency, and you living it now, that's it. It's so funny. And I'm about to get a little off key on this one for a minute before I tell you this. I just have to share this moment with you. I remember having this conversation earlier this week, and I remember in the beginning of the diagnosis, I did not understand. I was trying everything possible on how I was going to cure it. Yes, I said that. Every possible way that I was going to cure it, and I was going to cure my mother. I was going to fix the problem. And now it was like, no. I'm not going to fix the problem. My thing is living beyond it. Living beyond it. Living beyond dimension. So that's one of my goals, is to live beyond dimension, grow beyond dimension. And this is for the families that have to live with their beautiful family members who have been diagnosed with it. Because everyone has a different way of experiencing it and dealing with it. It's a lot of fear that's with it. It's a lot of unanswered questions that's with it. It's so much that is with that diagnosis, with that. But my thing is, let's go beyond it. Let's find life beyond it. I just want to share that moment with y'all right there. All right, so here's what I've learned about making elevation natural. It starts with self-trust. Learning to follow your inner guidance, and I can't stress this. I cannot stress this so much. Understanding your natural rhythms and trusting your unique path of growth. It's so funny, I had this amazing interview earlier, and you guys will hear this interview later. And I don't remember if we spoke this conversation on air or off the air, but this young lady, she asked me, how do you have so much confidence? She said, when the very first time that I met you and I saw you, you had so much confidence, and now you sit with so much confidence. How? And I said, you know what? Honestly, I get this from my mother. I get this from my family. And I was talking to her about breaking generational curses. And she said, well, what is one of your generational curses? And I said, fear. She said, how is that possible? She said, how can you have fear and you have so much? Look at you. Like you just, so much. And I said, it's been reared in fear. Fear has been the foundation of that courage. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So for me, fear has also been my protector. Fear has also been my champion. Fear has also been my resource. And fear has also been the one that pushes me. Ain't that something? So remember when that beautiful, beautiful young lady, Martine, came and she talked about fear. And when I talked to her that day, it was amazing. Because the funny thing is, and I'm going to be honest with you, right after that was the conversation that I had with the other young lady. And I knew that was messages for me to understand, is that I do need to embrace my fear. Because honestly, looking from it from a different perspective, fear has been my gift, has been one of my greatest gifts. Yeah. Fear has been a part of my inner guidance. Fear has been a part of understanding my natural rhythm. And fear has been a part of me trusting my unique path of my growth. All right, let's go on and talk about it requires creative expressions and finding ways to express your elevation. It also creates space of authentic growth and allowing yourself to evolve naturally. And number 3, it demands gentle persistence. Moving forward without forcing it. Moving forward without forcing it. It's okay to take a day or 2 or 3 off. It's okay. It's okay to rest. It is okay. It's okay for today not to have all the answers. It is okay. It is also okay to celebrate small shifts. Remember that skyscraper that we talked about in the beginning of the year? Remember the steps? Remember building those steps and those land. That is what builds the skyscraper. We have to take it step by step. And each one of those steps are small shifts in building a sustainable momentum. Yeah. All right, my beautiful people. Before we close today, I want to give you what I call a sustainable check. And I want you to take a moment to ask yourself, what practices make me feel naturally elevated? That's one. What practices make me feel naturally elevated? Number 2, where am I forcing growth instead of allowing it? And number 3, what will make elevation feel more natural to me? These answers will guide you towards a sustainable success. Well, my beautiful people, this week we will be exploring on how to make elevation your natural state of being. And I want you to remember that the goal isn't to strain toward growth. It's not to strain toward growth, but to create a life where elevation happens as natural as breathing. Because remember, breathing is a natural form of life. I want to thank you for sharing this journey with me. And until tomorrow, I want you to remember to love yourself first. This is your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks here, and you're listening to the Season of Self-Love. Have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer. Have a good day.